Hello and welcome back to the channel, everyone. The Breadcrumbs Project here on another live stream. We do have a lot to go over, and as we started yesterday and finished yesterday, we were talking about the QMAPs, and we'll pick up that subject again today. But we really have taken on a new turn, because right now, as Q has left the playing field and has left the playing field to us, those who took time to do the research, to do the hard work, to understand what we were up against, never really knowing what we were up against until we put all of the pieces together, until we followed all the breadcrumbs, and we come to a very singular place. And this is not only something that is within the Q PSYOP, the Q program, but it's a geopolitical event that is occurring, and how it impacts humanity is still something that is genuinely unfolding. These are exciting times we are living in. Terrifying, absolutely terrifying, but exciting. One thing that is pretty certain is that humanity, although we go through a lot, is a very coveted species. It is a very taken care of species. I think if there is greatness out there above us, that they find us to be very innocent in a way, and also very evil in some of our companions along this journey. So I do think there's a lot of love for us, and we have to, in future episodes, re-embark on the creation of human beings, of Homo sapiens sapien, those that are like us in build, but in different colors and in different styles. Yeah, it's true. The one thing that we can say is that the creation, in certain, something we can say for certain, if you look at it in a biblical perspective, if you look at it in a Sumerian, from the cuneiform tablets, if you look at it from the Egyptian mythos, and every ancient, and I'm not going to say religion, but creation stories, put humans as workers. We are worker bees. We are worker ants. We've always been here to serve at the pleasure of the gods, or of the God. So again and again and again, humans were created as beasts of burden. And we have to come to our senses of that. Now, how we fit into the bigger picture over time, and what is a soul, and what is the monad, who are the gods, and what is a god, who is creator, and who are the creators, all of those things are there for us to learn and know about, as soon as we cast off the yoke that has been keeping us down for thousands of years. And really right now we are very focused on the last several hundred years, especially when it comes to the United States of America. So we have been battling a big old conspiracy, and conspiracy is an actual legal term, and that is the people getting together to do harm against another human. And we've been talking about off and on about the Committee of 300, and it's something that we can truly identify and come to terms with, because there are people that have been working on this and trying to put out the information. Now we're going to start watching a video from the 1990s. All right? And that is really where I think I am going to start this effort in earnest. I've been trying to find footing, and this is where we're going to go. We're going to watch a video of Dr. John Campbell, something I doubt a lot of you have watched. And he talks about the Committee of 300 and identifies them and gives history that I am very well aware of because I was cognizant of this stuff throughout my childhood. My dad was with the American Embassy System. One of the first names that I know that I remember that I thought was just an awesome person was Henry Kissinger, because that's how the press lauded him. Our very manipulative and our very controlling press. And so, and believe me, people that have manipulated us and controlled us, not all of them are bad. A lot of them think they're helping us by keeping us stupid. And most younger members of the family know that the older brothers and sisters and the older ones keep secrets from the youngers so that they don't upset them. And that's kind of filtered through time. So Committee of 300 is something that has been identified, and this information has been kept from us. I don't think we're going to get up to the Council of 13. That is something that we'll undertake after we finish reviewing the video from Dr. John Campbell. And this all comes from his book, The Committee of 300, which is available on the CIA archive, the CIA website archive. And here it is for us to take a look at. The name of the book, and it's in PDF format for free at cia.gov/library. It's not going to go anywhere. This has been out there for a long, long time. It's just we've been ignorant to it. And the name of the book is Conspirators' Hierarchy. So these people have been engaging in a conspiracy against us. This is not a theory. This is an established fact that this good doctor lays out. Okay? The story of the Committee of 300. Dr. John Coleman. I said Campbell. I apologize. Dr. John Coleman. And he is in an intelligence agency when he stumbles across this. A lot of times the intelligence agencies, before they roll something out, they'll put out a front. And whether this man sincerely did all this work by himself or he was part of an operation, we may never know. But this is the predicate of Q. This is gosh, what do you do with superheroes? The backstory of Q. This is Q before Q was Q. Or this might have been our first taste of Q, putting everything out there. The Operation Q has been going on a long time. It has to do with quantum, DARPA, and we'll be looking at all of that. But Q and AI and LI all come from the same source, okay? And that is something that we'll just have to understand, and as things unfold, that we could not be where we're at right now if it was not for the ability for our U.S. government and U.S. intelligence agencies to outflank the Council of 13 and the Committee of 300. And that's what we've been doing for the last 50 years, quietly and steadily outflanking these people. And this is where they are named, shamed, and put in public. Not to all the details that we know of from the Epstein files, but Epstein is definitely an operative of the Committee of 300, even though he didn't even know it. So, yes, this is going to be absolutely interesting and riveting. All right, so here we go.
Simple. Anarchy and chaos prevails in Washington, D.C. because the federal government has seized powers to which it is not entitled to, and is passing masses of laws that are 100% unconstitutional. And when you get men setting themselves up as greater than the Constitution of the United States.
Oops, buffering. That may be a problem for us.
You get anarchy and eventually tyranny. Now, I'm paranoid. I'm going to admit to you right up front. But let me tell you what the real meaning of the word paranoid is. It is a man or a person who has the ability to link events that seemingly are not connected. That is the true meaning of paranoia, or being paranoid. Of course, it's been used by our enemies, the socialists, the Marxists, the liberals, the so-called progressives, to smear us. How many times haven't I heard it said of me, that fellow's paranoid? Yes, I'm glad to admit it, because I have the ability to connect events that are seemingly unconnected. And when you do that, you begin to arrive at the truth. It's taken me 25 years to come to the conclusions that I have come to. And I want to tell you that one of the biggest things I discovered in my work was the existence of a supranational committee composed of 300 men.
All right, so this is a very important place that we need to hold the line here for a second. And I'm noticing that buffering is a problem, and it's going to be a problem. So I may download the video and then go through the process of letting it play out and talk about things. But if you are a follower of Tucker Carlson and you see what he has basically talked about in his latest interviews, and he has come to the conclusion that there is a supra-government, a supra-organization that controls governments around the world by controlling and blackmailing the politicians. So Dr. Coleman had not gotten to that point, or there was an infiltration that happened. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But here are two individuals who've come to a very similar conclusion over a 30-year span of time, okay? And then all of us within the Q community came to the conclusion as well. But I think this is where the intelligence community started to put out the message of the Committee of 300. I think this man was probably heavily protected, and he does have great hair, so there is a good chance that he was actually in the intelligence community, and at what level we're not sure. But he sure did a lot of talking that usually that would not come out. Now, he is talking against the liberals and some establishment communities. And that's before the time that the Clintons declared a vast right-wing conspiracy against her husband. So this is in the 1990s. There was not very much of a left and a right. There were the workers' parties, and that was basically the Democrats, and then the party of company owners, educated elites, and the banking class, and that was the Republican Party. And that's how the class system was working in the United States until it got too old and began the process of deindustrialization, which Dr. Coleman is going to talk about, which Marco Rubio recently talked about at the World Economic Forum and also at the Berlin Conference, the Berlin Security Conference, that there is a prolonged effort, a 50-year effort to deindustrialize and basically defang the United States of America. So this is something that that is all coming around in a very tightly knit package. But Dr. Coleman is the one who names names and gives us a structure from which to operate. We're going to watch a little more of it. If it becomes choppy again, I'm going to go ahead and cut it. I will download it and pick it up tomorrow. There's a lot to unpack in this video, and I feel like an absolute schmuck for not knowing about this. But I have a very interesting chart up here on the screen in the upper portion over here. You see that blue line? This video was released by Anon55, who I give credit to in the video, and definitely keep it up there. And that is somebody to check out, because he gives a lot of hard history of the Q movement. Okay, so Anon links this heavily within our movement, and this video was only released 68 days ago, so a little over 2 months ago. So we've got a lot to learn. I think the first 4 years of Trump was just leveling the ground, and then while he was commander-in-chief during the Biden days is when a lot of movement happened, and there was a lot of movement going on in the final days of the Trump administration. Maybe we'll get to that, maybe we won't, but yeah, there was a lot going on. So this has been going on for operationally since Trump got into office, and a lot of us know that, and we've really been pretty happy about that for what we see coming out now in the latter year, first year of Trump being in office. Mind you, the recording of this is February 24th, 2026. Let's continue a little bit on with Dr. John Campbell.
Came across this quite by accident when I was serving in Africa, in Angola, and I was given a series of documents which were only supposed to be handed in to top-level people. They were what we called above the top level of classification of intelligence documents. And there I discovered that whilst I thought I was in Africa fighting against the invasion of the communists, I was in fact fighting to introduce socialist regimes in the black African countries, and that I was actually working for a committee called the Committee of 300, also known in intelligence circles as the Olympians. I'll stop right there, and I want to digress for a moment and tell.
All right, I'm stopping right there as well, because he's going to go into a track. Understanding that this is definitely before the neocons were injected into the conservative movement of the Republican Party. The conservative movement came from those of us who wanted to be conservative and judicious in anything that we did as a government and as a country. We didn't want to move fast. We did not want to do anything in panic, and we had become a problem for the Committee of 300. And so, and the beauty of the conservative movement is not limited to one country. It's a worldwide idea and thought. So they had to hijack it, which they successfully did. Okay, and the reason I stopped was because I needed to be understood that the Committee of 300 is well known to the intelligence community, and they are keeping that group from us. The intelligence community should be at the service of their countries. Obviously, they are not. If the intelligence communities know about the Committee of 300, then this should have been talked about for ages, and should have been headline news in both print and in television until they were stomped out. But no, the intelligence communities help shield them and keep them quiet, and coined the term conspiracy theory, so we weren't allowed to climb the knowledge trail to get to these people. Understanding how corrupt things have been and for how long. And in 1994, thereabouts, when Dr. Coleman released this information in his book, that's when our pushback started.
The word intelligence has been bandied around a great deal in the United States. I've seen people writing this and that and the other intelligence newsletter. They really have no experience whatsoever. In 1986, I wrote a work called Mind Control, Metaphysics, Extremely Low Frequency Radiation and Weather Modifications. And in that work, July the 8th, 1986, I said that the top-level intelligence organization in the United States was the National Reconnaissance Office, far bigger than the CIA and any of the other intelligence agencies. And by the way, we have about 10 different ones in the United States. And
we have more now.
I even had the audacity to give the address of this organization. 3 weeks ago, Mr. Sam Donaldson, the gentleman who wears that beautiful toupee so effectively, he came on with the program in prime time, and he said, this is one of the biggest scoops that ABC has ever had. And he told about the National Reconnaissance Organization. The exact same thing that I published 8 years earlier. I tell you this to set the stage so that you'll understand I do have some experience and that I know that of which I speak.
All right. So this stuff came to the surface and then was just crushed back down. As an American, as anybody of the world, we should be incensed right now. We've seen the power when they did the COVID lockdowns. These people truly do run the world. All right, we're going to give it a little more time. Then I'm going to download it, and we're going to pick it back up again tomorrow. But wrap your head around this. This is classic, and I was alive during the 90s, and they were good times. And we were definitely distracted from what was happening. MTV, rock music, everything was distracting us from what Dr. Coleman was trying to warn us about. But yes, a National Reconnaissance Office, still in place right now. Nobody knows anything about them. We all bang on about the CIA, but we never talk about the other intelligence offices.
You know, the American people are somewhat like the Irish. I'm sure you've heard the story of the Irishman who got shipwrecked.
All right, this is a great place to leave off. Yes, this is a great story, and this is who I want our country to be. Listen, take it back a little bit, because he says us Americans and the Irish.
That of which I speak. You know, the American people are somewhat like the Irish. I'm sure you've heard the story of the Irishman who got shipwrecked, and after many days he was washed up on an island, and as he staggered along the beach, some people came out of the trees waving spears, and he said to them, "Is there a government here?" And they said, "Yes." He said, "Well, then I'm against it."
Is there a government here? Well, then I'm against it. So yes, that needs to be the spirit that we have to have. We've fallen into a trance, and how deep that trance is, you guys still don't know. There's a lot to uncover that I've uncovered in my book, Latin America, and that we are beginning to uncover through a lot of YouTube channels, including Candace Owens. She is going to be uncovering a lot. She is coming at what the Q was fighting, but through a different through different means, with more information, more capabilities than this poor little channel. But as I'm a history buff and love to give the classes on history, this is where we're going to be. All right, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are a very unique niche within the Q community and the YouTube community, what I used to call the QTube community. So we were just alerted through a psychological operation as to the dangers that we were facing existentially as a country and as a worldwide system. The great threat that was identified and published about in the, as you heard, in the 80s and in the 90s. In our country, the good guys had to do a lot of work behind the scenes to literally save humanity. So, yes, this is important. The link for this video will be in the show notes, but definitely the book is in the show notes as or a description, and it's a link to CIA.gov. So it doesn't get more real than that. If you want to look up the video on your own, you can use this title, John Coleman, in parentheses, 1994, The Committee of 300. All right, we'll pick it back up tomorrow. And thank you for being here, and we'll see you tomorrow.